Hello, friends. David Nuno here. TexAgs Rewind presented by T-Mobile. T-Mobile, a proud sponsor of this show. Visit T-Mobile.com across America, I should say, to learn more about how you can get value and coverage there with T-Mobile. And hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. We were back at it this morning here in studio, and Billy was obviously here. But one of the first things we talked about was about the LSU coaching search. Matt Moscona there from ESPN Baton Rouge told us that it looks like that they've got their eyes set on getting Lincoln Riley there to take over the LSU program. We'll see how that turns out over the next few days. We did a bank on it during the Go Hour. Our good buddy Olin Buchanan breaking it all down. Billy on bowl musings. Where are they going to go? Where are they going to play? Is it going to be Citrus? Looking like that could be a possibility. And, of course, the final countdown, A&M-LSU, Steve McKinney in studio, Billy Liucci. It is TexAgs Rewind presented by T-Mobile. Let's start things off with Bank on It. Can we bank on it? Bank on It, presented by Vera Bank, authentic relationship-based banking built for real life. Go see Joel Jackson and the team. Learn more at verabank.com.
What am I banking on? I am banking on the Aggies defense limiting LSU to fewer than 20 points. You know, in their last, with the exception of Florida, their game against Florida, take that one out. And Florida, as we all know, has just been a complete and total collapse. With the exception of that game, in their last five, in LSU's last 5 SEC games, LSU scored less than 20 points in 4 of those, and the other one they had 21 in a 42-21 loss to Kentucky.
For the record, I may borrow your idea for a later segment because I'm thinking the same way as you. I 100% agree with you. I'm glad you're banking on that.
I had 19 against Auburn, 21 against Kentucky, 17 against Ole Miss, 14 against Alabama,
13
and
against Arkansas. Yep. A similar segment is coming up by me. Not this segment, but soon. I'm banking on the Aggies scoring early, okay? And I just, for some reason, believe that defense is going to give us the short side of the field a couple times during the first quarter. I don't know if they're going to score on that first drive. I'm not saying that Zach is going to be the Zach that we saw against Alabama, but I think they're going to be efficient enough to give the Aggies a first quarter lead. And with Jimbo Fisher, they are 26-4 when scoring first and a perfect 24-0 when leading after the first quarter. Give me a first quarter lead, the Aggies are going to win this game.
You know, I think the Aggies might actually have 2 running backs exceed 1,000 yards in this game. Now, Isaiah Spiller,
he's really close.
He's like 16.
Yeah.
And I think Devon Achane needs up like 139. And that would be a huge game. But I could see, like you said, if A&M scores early, gets an early, I could see a depleted LSU defense when it looks like things aren't going their way. Maybe it's, why don't we, let's just mail this in the rest of the way. Not that Devon needs that, but I could see a long touchdown run late, maybe in the third quarter or something like that. Not saying it happened, but I could absolutely envision that.
I could see that happening. Sure. Let me ask you this. Do you see some of the guys that are expected to play in, this is just speculation here, but expected to go early in the NFL draft to play in the bowl game? It's hard to tell because everybody's got their own.
First of all, if they do play, I always think it's kind of a bonus.
Yep.
But for whatever reason, at A&M, Myles Garrett played. Mm-hmm. Christian Kirk played. Now, Justin BK set out, but I think he's the only guy that set out. So I'm not going to be naive and say, oh, no, they're all coming back. But I do think that there's a team-first mentality among those guys that Jimbo has cultivated. And I think there's a very good chance that most of those guys, is DeMarvin Leal going to sit out? Maybe. Would you be mad at him if he did?
No, I get it.
He's done so much.
Yep.
Kenyon Green, I would be shocked. But maybe somebody's going to say, hey, you need to stay out. But those are the type of guys that have just been so completely bought in and such great teammates and may have, again, they might have the mentality like, I'm not going to give up on my team.
Yeah.
I can give them one last game.
Matt, all right, let's talk a little bit about Woodward and his decision-making and who he's going to bring in. It feels like, and you tell me if I'm right here, it feels like he either has his guy and he's being very quiet about it, or he's running out of options.
Well, I think they're they're down to 2. And I'll tell you, with Scott, the way he operates is he swings big, and I think his big cut is Lincoln Riley. And they're prepared to make him the richest coach in college football, and I think he will accept the offer. But I mean, as you all know, I mean, it's never done until the coach is wearing the purple tie on the plane heading to the press conference. So until that happens, it's not really done. I don't know who's going to turn down $100 million, but I think Lincoln will take the job. And if not, guys, I think it's going to be Mark Stoops. So Scott has his floor, the guy that he knows will accept the job. I remember a couple of years ago when Tennessee was hiring a coach, and it was like 8, 9, 10 guys all publicly withdrawing from the search. It just became this fiasco. That's not going to happen with Scott. Y'all know him well enough. It's not going to happen with him. He's got his floor, and I think that's Mark Stoops. If Lincoln says no, I think Mark Stoops will be the LSU coach.
So let me follow that up then. Who do you think is a better fit for LSU moving forward?
So my opinion on the matter is I think the hardest position to find to recruit and develop is quarterback, and it's also the most important in American team sports. So if you got a guy like Lincoln Riley who turned Baker Mayfield into a Heisman winner, a first-round pick, same with Kyler Murray, one with Jalen Hurts. Rattler fell off this year, but look at what Caleb Williams is doing. If you have that guy, then no matter who you hire as your coordinator, you'll always have the guy that's actually the guy. I mean, y'all are experiencing that with Jimbo right now. That's my opinion. Is Lincoln's the home run if you can land and you get the name, you get the splash, you get the guy that can recruit and develop offenses. He's 38 years old. I mean, I think what Mark Stoops has done at Kentucky has been vastly underappreciated. To have won consistently at a place where he is, where that no one's won consistently for that length of time since Bear Bryant. And I think he would do fine here. I mean, guys, to be honest, to say it bluntly, I mean, the last 3 coaches at LSU have won national titles, and the last 2 of them, no one's going to confuse for football savants. So, I think you bring in Mark Stoops or darn near anybody, the structure, the resources, all that are in place at LSU for competent coaches to win.
I would think if I was Lincoln Riley, I would take that job just because that we know that OU's losing 1 and 2 games a year in the Big 12. That turns into 3 and 4.
Absolutely.
In the SEC, and that gets you fired at Oklahoma. So it gets you fired at LSU, but you might as well be making $100 million to do it
with a more ready roster.
$100 million isn't going to get anybody's attention, guys.
Let's start off with the bowl.
Okay.
I mean, I noticed everybody was talking yesterday, and they were asking, hey, if Ole Miss wins, are we in the New Year's Six? And the answer was not necessarily, and probably not, but possibly. Ole Miss at 9, A&M at 15. I said prior to it, A&M probably needed to be within about 4 spots of them. 6 was a lot. I mean, that's a big difference. There's Ole Miss would have to have dropped almost 4 spots, and or A&M go up 4 spots. And so, to me, that was going to be tough. And that was the clearest path just to get in. Now, the other one is if Alabama beats Georgia, they both go to the playoff. Ole Miss goes to the Sugar. I guess there's still a chance that the Aggies sit and wait and see if they make it in on the very back end of those 12 teams, the 8 teams that aren't in the playoff, right, if they get in there. And I haven't delved deep enough into it to see if it's even possible. It's obviously going to be a long shot because for starters now, I think without question, Bama would have to beat Georgia, to get Ole Miss up into the Sugar. But still, all that does is that pushes one team out of the playoff that's going to, I say grabbing at large, but it's not necessarily. It could be one of those teams that's going to be in it anyway.
Right.
I don't think they'll get in the New Year's Six. That's a long shot. But what happened yesterday that's interesting is with Mississippi State losing, I think A&M has all but ensured that they'll get into the Capital One Bowl, which is basically the next of the New Year's Six.
Next tier, right?
It is by itself in the SEC. It is New Year's Six, and then Capital One, and then everybody else. So it's a premier bowl game. I keep calling it Capital One. It's a Citrus. I don't think
Citrus Bowl. No,
is it the Capital One? I don't.
No,
think
Citrus Bowl.
But it is a premier standalone New Year's Day bowl game. It's in Orlando. It's Disney. It's against a Big Ten team, higher one rung up the ladder than if you met in Jacksonville or
we're thinking
or Tampa,
Wisconsin, Michigan State-ish.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So I think it would be a hell of a bowl game, hell of a matchup. People would consider it one of the better bowl games, and around the country in terms of matchups. And again, New Year's Day for the second year in a row to play on New Year's. I think they'd all but clinch that with Mississippi State losing, and that's one thing we weren't paying attention to because they were probably not going to make the New Year's Six anyway. But then you would have been dealing with the Mississippi State team that was 5-3 in the conference that also beat A&M head to head.
Right.
So if the SEC would have looked at it, and those would be, by the way, probably the only two teams in consideration for that spot, and they would say, well, how can we put A&M when Mississippi State beat them at Kyle Field? Now you've got Mississippi State with 4 conference losses. You've got Arkansas, who beat A&M with 4 conference losses, and then there's nobody in the East that's going to
Kentucky potentially.
No. There's almost zero. There's no. To answer your question, a 9-3. What's Kentucky's record right now? Anyway, they have 3 or 4 losses.
I think they have 3.
There's zero chance they would pick Kentucky over A&M because, first of all,
Kentucky's 8-3.
Yeah, so 9-3 Kentucky versus 9-3 A&M. I would say zero chance they would do that, especially with A&M. They'll have moved up into probably by the end of championship weekend. They will have moved up, probably creeping on the door of the top 10.
This is all considering winning this weekend.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. So, yeah, I think you would see A&M in the Citrus almost certainly going in this weekend. And by the way, Kentucky's an underdog this weekend to Louisville.
Are they
believe
really?
it or not, yeah. They were early in the week. It was close, so I don't know if that line's moved at all.
And let me just ask you for where we are today in college football. I know we like the idea of a New Year's Six Bowl, but is there that much of a difference if you're playing on New Year's Day, if it's one of the New Year's Six Bowls or if it's the Citrus Bowl?
No, I don't think there. I don't think there is. I think the difference is this. The difference is, you'd have lost that one less game to get in. It's just like to be checked in, to be let in at the door, your resume has to look that much better, which just means you were in the conversation long. I mean, imagine A&M with 2 losses right now, how the conversation at any point during this season would have been so much different around this team.
Yeah.
And so I think there's all of that. But no, there's only 1 or 2 bowls, though, David, that I think compare to New Year's Six for that the SEC can get into. And I think it's the Citrus and the Outback. They're just those New Year's Day, start the day with them. Everyone's watching. They're traditional.
And we move into our Pick 6 time, and we'll do it with the first game. Number 15, Texas A&M, 8-3, 4-3 in the SEC. At LSU, 5-6, 2-5 in the SEC. 6 p.m. start there on Saturday in Death Valley. The Aggies are favored by 6.5, Steve.
I mean, I can't pick against A&M. It's the last game of the year. I'm like almost dead last in this pick'em contest, so I'm just going to go with A&M.
I was in second 2 weeks ago. I'm with you now. Second to dead last. It's good.
Turn quick.
Man, I think I'm going to go – I actually do think I'm going to go A&M to cover that too. I think the Aggies win by a touchdown.
I love that. I love hearing
that. I think
that.
the Aggies win by a touchdown.
That's good because Liucci actually has something to play for here.
No, I don't. I'm right there with y'all.
I thought you were in like second place.
No. I'm right
that's
there.
Never mind. That's Olin.
Yeah.
OB is running away with it. He's proud too. Number 3, Alabama.
He should be because we've given him a hard time.
All right, guys, like it, comment, subscribe. You know what to do here. Hopefully everybody had a great Thanksgiving, and we'll be talking about their bowl game next week, potentially. Well, we got to wait a whole week for that, like till Sunday. So scratch that from the record, but we'll be getting ready for it and getting ready also for the championship Saturday that's coming up as well. Thanks for watching TexAgs Rewind.